Okay, so now I have to start talking for a long time. Hi everyone! Hopefully there's more than one person watching this. But my name is Taylor. I'm 20 years... Oh my god, I'm losing up. I'm 21 years old. I'm an art student. I write stories. I'm an aspiring illustrator. And I'm a cosplayer as well. And I love anime a lot. And a lot of other things. And also I have with me my co-host, which will hopefully be here most of the time, Tay.
Hi. Hello.
You may hear me refer to Tay as my wife, and they're not actually my wife. It would be awesome if they were.
One day.
One day. Instead, they're just my best friend who lives very far away, and I'm very, very loudly affectionate towards, and I love them a lot.
Yes.
And we both love anime, so we decided to start a podcast where we both just talk about anime and all things anime-centric and everything else a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully other people like listening to it too.
I didn't really plan anything fancy like you said. Basically, hi, I'm Tay, I'm 21, and I just really like anime.
You've watched, like, so many animes.
Let me bring up my anime list and I can get an actual number.
Heck yeah. Give me that probably big 3-digit number.
Completed 837.
Oh my god. So amazing.
Almost in the 4 digits.
God, that's so good. So amazing. I am not even in the 3 digits yet. I wish I was.
Soon enough.
Soon. Someday soon. It feels like every day I inch closer to that one 3-digit number. But yeah, I think I'm somewhere in the 90s, but
I will check for you. 92.
You, the viewer, may be wondering why we started this podcast. First of all, I'm crazy, and I'm a creator, and I love making things, and I also love talking a lot. I always wanted to have a space where I could not only talk endlessly about whatever I'm passionate about, but also a space where those who want to listen can do so. Heck yeah. I feel like just rambling on Twitter, sometimes like people don't see it or don't care. Or...
I always see it.
I know you do, and I love you. But I don't know, I just wanted like a good space, and I started watching podcasts in the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm like, you know what? Heck yeah, I could do this. And it sounds like so much fun. And I like podcasts because it's like reading, but instead I can focus my eyes on doing something else, but I'm still kind of partaking in another medium, I guess, is the best way to put it. I don't know.
It makes sense.
Also, a good point that a friend brought up is that a lot of anime-centric media on YouTube and whatever else seems to be really male-dominated, and at times often kind of problematic. So I just wanted to do like something chill and just like talk about stuff that would make people happy, or maybe where you could learn something cool. Like that's my favorite thing to listen to. So and also an anime-centric place that's like queer friendly as well, like LGBT. Oh my god, BLT. LGBT support is of course really important to me and a lot of my friends, and we need that like area where it's safe to talk about and discuss that kind of stuff, and like give shout outs to stuff that highlights that and brings that into a positive light. And also finally, it's a great space where I can just sit down and talk about stuff I love with my wife, who I also love.
Yay!
And hopefully I'll have a bunch of friends on here as well, sometime in the near future, where we can all talk and have fun together as well, about the same stuff. So this is a podcast where we're mostly going to talk about anime, but not just anime. Of course, we're going to mix it up a little bit. Tay and I also love video games. And webcomic. Tay reads lots of manga.
A whole lot.
Which I don't actually read a lot, but I wish I did. You know, I want to have a whole bunch of different, like, media things on here, even talking about other podcasts. talking about conventions and cosplaying, whatever else. I kind of want it to be like a really fun like conglomeration of just a whole bunch of fun things. Keep it fresh and keep it funky.
Sounds like a plan to me.
But yeah, I really want this podcast to be like a chill and laid back space with maybe like a touch of like an educational kind of vibe. Maybe some of the episodes about idols, we'll learn stuff about idols, or I'll do some research. I kind of want it to be like a mix between the Wonderful podcast by Griffin McElroy and his wife, and also like a mix between that and Polygon's Unraveled, hosted by Brian David Gilbert. Have you seen either of those, Tay?
I have not.
Amazing. Okay. So like Wonderful podcast is just a podcast where they like choose like two different things to talk about, and then it's just him and his wife just talking about these things and like things they researched about them and things and like why they like them. And it's like the most chill and like sweet, wholesome podcast ever.
That sounds so wholesome.
I know, it's so wholesome, and I'm like, that's you and me. Like, that could be us, and it is us. But I also want it to be like a mix of Unraveled on YouTube by Polygon. The host, Brian, takes like weird video game things and like does insane amounts of like research on them for just like the lulz, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like, he read every single book in Skyrim, the game.
Oh.
And then did a book report on all of them.
Oh my god.
It was hilarious. But anyway, I kind of wanted to be like a mix between those two. Just like a wholesome educational vibe meets wacky, maybe anime themes. I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's kind of like my goal, my end game. Definitely a weird mix of those two. Now that I've explained kind of where I want to go with this podcast and what it's going to be about and everything, we can get started into the actual first episode by introducing our history with anime, which is why we started watching anime, and start talking about like the first animes we watched and whatnot. Why did you start watching anime, Tay?
I started because I like to draw, and one of my friends was like, hey, people in anime club like to draw, you should join, and I did.
Amazing. That sounds like everyone's introduction to anime in a sense. But I mean, mine wasn't too different. I don't specifically remember like seeing anime for the first, or like remember anyone telling me to watch it or anything. But I do remember when I was back in junior high in, I don't know, 5th grade and whatnot, and being on DeviantArt and like seeing fan art and people talking about anime, and like on the online games they would talk about anime, and I'm like, maybe someday I'll watch that. And I just know for a really long time that like I didn't know where to watch it. So like I kind of like look stuff up on YouTube, and I'd be like, I don't know where to watch it. And I have like vague memories of maybe going onto some like really like fishy site and like watching an episode of Free, and then I'm like, I'm probably giving my computer a virus. I should probably like figure something else out to watch this stuff. But yeah, and then I like gave up for a while. But I remember I have like vivid memories of in junior high, like after school, I pulled up my like cable's DVR service on the TV. I found out that there was an anime section, and I was like, oh heck yeah, I'll check that out. And they had like really random animes. They never had the episodes in order. It was always just like some random episodes. I just remember like watching out of order episodes of Angel Beats, which is like a wild anime to get into.
Oh yeah.
I have vivid memories of watching that and being like, oh my god, this is like nothing I'd ever seen before, you know? It was like gory, and I can still like clearly remember the anime opening, which is like iconic. But I didn't actually get into anime and like figure out where to watch it until high school, where I believe I started watching Sword Art Online on YouTube.
That was actually the first series I watched as it aired.
Nice! Oh my god, that's so cool. But yeah, I watched that on YouTube, and I think that was the first, like, anime that I actually, like, watched through in order. After that, it was kind of a blur, but I'm pretty sure, like, then I watched Attack on Titan, and I have, like, vague memories of maybe watching the whole Free series, and after that, it's just, like, I got way into it.
Mm-hmm.
But what about you? What was the first animes you've watched?
The very first one I watched was Black Butler, and it was when I first went to check out my school's anime club. They were having a screening night, and they were playing the first, I think it was 2 episodes from that. I was confused, but I loved it, and when I got home, I don't remember if I found it on Netflix or not. I know it was on Netflix at the time, but I don't know if I just like Googled it and watched it on a random website or if I actually went on Netflix or not, but I binged the whole thing over the next week.
I feel like that's like a really good starter anime.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that one's like, I feel like everyone's starter anime is like a little bit on the dark side, and I don't know why.
Well, I mean, if I want to get super technical, my first anime was like Pokemon or Powerpuff Girls Z.
That's a good point. Yeah, I was thinking more about just like stuff that they don't air on, you know, Cartoon Network or whatever.
Yeah, I remember one at a sleepover with one of my friends back in like 8th grade before I actually got into anime. Me and her were, I don't know why, but we were talking about Powerpuff Girls, and I found out that there was a Japanese cartoon of Powerpuff Girls, and we watched like the first episode and were so confused and then never touched it again.
Yeah, like technically I could consider like Pokemon, you know, I watched that all the time when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I wanted to talk about was our favorite animes. And of course, you know me, I hate deciding.
Oh, same.
I ended up just picking the 2 favorites that I have. I have a lot of favorites, but I was like, man, I don't know how to narrow it down because I have a lot of favorites for like different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
My first favorite is Akagami no Shirayuki Hime, which is Snow White and the red hair. It's about a girl with bright red hair, which is a common thing for anime characters, but apparently in this universe it isn't common. And she ends up, I think, running away, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, running away and like finding herself becoming an apothecary student who resides in the kingdom of a prince named Zen, who is an absolute dreamboat and who is honestly the best anime husbando in my opinion.
He's definitely up there.
Shirayuki, the main character, or Snow White, if you will, is super sweet and super smart and is like a wonderful female lead who is just like super self-confident and amazing and smart. And it just kind of like follows their like blossoming relationship and just like struggles with her in the castle. But yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's pretty great and it's like a really just chill, sweet anime, very wholesome. It was released in summer of 2015 by Studio Bones. It is in fact based on a manga which has really super beautiful illustrations. And I have not read the manga yet, which I should. It is currently rated 7.9 on my anime list, which is honestly a shame and should be rated like a 10 in my opinion. And it has 12 episodes, but 2 seasons out, and they're both amazing, and honestly I could rewatch this anime like 100 times. It's just super sweet, and I'm such a hopeless romantic. It's like so in my wheelhouse, I guess. It's just like the perfect anime for me. It's got like some action in there, it's got some suspense, but it's like mainly romance, but it's also like slice of life. The designs are really cute and the music's really chill. I think I started watching it because of an AMV. That's Akagami no Shirayuki Hime, and I recommend it, and I feel like everyone should watch it. It's honestly like a great starter anime, I feel like. And yeah, Snow White and the red hair.
So I'm sure you won't be surprised by my first favorite I'm going to talk about. Kimi ni Todoke, or From Me to You.
Oh yes! I knew it! That was like my main guess.
Yeah, this is one I've rewatched. Like, I rewatch it at least like 1 to 3 times a year since I first originally watched it many years ago. So, like, the rewatch number is very high up there. And yeah, it's a super sweet, romance anime about the main girl, Sawako, who everyone is scared of because they think she's like creepy in that kind of way. And like the most popular boy at school, basically. And it's just their budding romance, kind of like what you said for Shirayuki Hime.
It's super cute. I need to rewatch it for sure.
It originally aired back in October of 2009.
Wow.
Yeah, a bit old there. It has 2 seasons. The first one's 25 episodes, second one's just 12. By Production IG. And it's got an 8.1 on my anime list, but it deserves higher. It's such a simple anime, like in terms of like style and such.
I feel like the art style is so unique, but it's like so cute, and especially when you see the openings.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. The openings are so sweet.
And it does have a good comedy touch to it, which the style goes well with because it easily morphs into like a more chibi style for comedic effect. And just everything about it just makes me so warm and happy inside.
Yeah, I feel like also the comedy ties in, like, with her being seen as the scary type character. Like, a lot of that comes into play in the anime, and it's just really, like, sweet and heartwarming, and I just remember it having, like, a really sweet message.
Yeah.
Her, like, finding confidence in herself. It was so cute.
It is. I love it.
So my next one is Noragami, which also is probably comes as no surprise to you also. I believe Noragami translates to lone god, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I just know that you can find it basically everywhere under just plain old Noragami. But yeah, it's so hard to explain without taking 5 hours. I feel like the best way to describe it is a girl gets tied up into the life of a lesser demigod sort of guy, learns a lot about his life. Man, I don't know how to describe this now that it's come down to it. especially not without spoiling anything. But yeah, just the way that this girl gets tied up into his life and his situation is really funny. It is kind of an action anime, kind of suspenseful. There's a lot of comedy moments. It's a very funny anime. The main character, Hiyori, is another excellent female lead, which is a common theme between my two favorite animes, I suppose. She's great. She loves wrestling, or pro wrestling especially, and that comes into like play into the episodes at times. It's just really great. And then the other main character, Yato, is another one of my ideal anime husbands. He is super cool and also kind of a loser. He's got one brain cell, but at the same time he's like super wise, and you kind of learn about him and how he got into his situation, and what it means to be a demigod in a sense and meet other gods, and just it's so hard to describe because it's like there's so many things about it that's so cool. I feel like I'll just leave it at that because otherwise I'd be here talking for like 100 years. But yeah, it's a winter 2014 anime by Studio Bones again, which is hilarious that I've chosen 2 Bones animes.
They make good stuff.
Yeah, they do, I guess. I never even realized. But yeah, it also has a manga, which I believe is even still going, and I did actually read a lot of back in the day, but it's been a very long time since I've caught up with it. It's rated 8.13 on my anime list, which I think is pretty good. It has 12 episodes in the first season, but there are 2 seasons, because there should be more seasons, but we haven't heard anything from them in so long. And they left season 2 off at a perfect cliffhanger, and I'm just really salty about it, because that's where stuff starts to get real good. But I love the 2 seasons that they have released so far, and hopefully someday Noragami will return to us.
Hopefully.
Noragami was actually one of the first animes that I willingly watched on my own, if that makes any sense. Usually when I first started watching animes, I had to have them recommended to me, but Noragami was the first one that I saw on Netflix, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll check this one out. And I ended up loving it. So it kind of I binged through it so fast. I just remember being like, this is anime and I love it, and it was just so exciting. I am still chasing that high of the first time that I watched Noragami, for sure. Yato is another huge dreamboat, and it kind of ties in comedy, and it also ties in these kind of dark themes and themes of the afterlife and death without being too dark, I feel because a lot of dark stuff I cannot watch or I get really anxious. Noragami, it kind of stays on that borderline of chill enough for me to watch, but also still containing some of that dark theme that I've always liked. So, your second favorite?
You probably won't be surprised by this one either. Nana.
Yes, I knew it. 2 for 2.
Basically, Nana and Kimi ni Todoke are they fight for the number 1 spot in my book. Nana's more of a mature romance, because Kimi ni Todoke is, high school kids. Nana's focused more about the main characters are in their 20s and growing up and figuring out what they want to do with their lives. It's basically about 2 girls, both named Nana, who become friends and go through life. One is, lead singer of an up-and-coming band, and the other is, super hyper bubbly girl who falls in love way too easily. It's a long one.
Yes.
47 episodes.
Oof. Yeah. That's a long one in my book.
Yeah, it started in April of 2006 and ended basically a year later. And it's actually done by Madhouse, which I was a little bit surprised about. Madhouse is kind of known for their super fluid and just quality animation and art and such. And Nana has an older style, and it's not a beautiful series, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely very stylized.
I remember recommending it to one of my friends, and she said no because the art style looked so bad to her.
Oh no!
But it's just such a good series.
It is definitely one that I still need to watch eventually. Once I have the time, I'm gonna binge through it.
I realized, I think it was sometime last year, that about every 3 or 4 months I get the urge to rewatch it. 90% of the time it's because I'm scrolling through Tumblr and someone will post a screen cap from the manga or a gif from one of the episodes. I'm I need this in my life right now. And it's just really good and I love it.
I think I watched the first episode, but I never picked it back up, and I need to.
I will say it took me 2 tries to actually get into it. The first couple of episodes aren't that good. Every time I rewatch it, I just pick it up right at episode 7, which is surprisingly because 7's a common thing in the series, because 7 in Japanese is Nana.
Oh, that's amazing.
But every time I rewatch it, I just go straight from episode 7, because more or less 1 through 6 are backstory that I already know and don't really care about.
I'll trudge through those episodes 1 to 6 and get to the good stuff.
Hopefully, because it's really good. You'll like it.
So yeah, we're winding down the episode already. 1 podcast almost under the belt.
Hell yeah.
Which is super cool. So finally, I just wanted to briefly run over cool things you like about anime, or we like about anime.
Is everything an option?
Yeah, honestly, there's so much good about it. Like, as an artist, I'm a huge animation fan, and I like that there's so many different styles, but it's different from like Western animation styles. Like, and I don't know how to summarize it in short words, but like, I feel like as an artist, like, anime is a huge source of my inspiration, and especially as an artist who mainly only finds motivation to make fan art, like, I constantly need to be inspired. And one of the things that constantly inspires me is just this, like, the multiple stories that anime manages to tell. Like, one day I could watch, like, a slice of life about Tanaka-kun, who's just so lazy that he can do nothing. And then, like, 30 minutes later, I could be watching an anime about humanized or personalized blood cells working in the human body. And then I can go to, like, an anime about, I don't know, like, idols that are also zombies. And it's just, like, the amount of stories you can tell with this. Like, there is really no boundary when it comes to anime, I feel like. So there's something for everyone. And I feel like that's what's really great about anime.
I don't know if there's anything else I want to add on. You kind of, like, went over everything.
Short and sweet, I guess. Maybe. Also, to wrap up, a teensy bit more about ourselves, maybe, and, like, first of all, what's our favorite media things? Like, personally, me, of course, I watch a lot of anime, and because of my busy lifestyle, I feel like I watch a lot of podcasts, and a lot of movies, a lot of, like, stuff that I can listen to on the side, for sure. I do indulge in books and manga and webcomics from time to time. Not as much since I don't have a lot of time to read. I also am the creator of a webcomic called Blessed Sins. And it's
very good. I love it.
It's basically a story about two characters, one made by me and the other made by our lovely Tay, who are also angels, and it's a story of their forbidden romance and the long saga that happens. And eventually I will get back to illustrating for it once I find the time. I tend to watch a lot of slice of life and comedy and idol animes. They're, like, my favorite. I love idols, and I love watching, like, really wacky things and things with cool art styles, and if it's got music, I'll probably love it. And yeah, of course, I also love a good story about angels and demons, and also vampires. So anything that, and I also always love a good blonde boy character. If he's blonde,
especially if they're a prince or have long hair.
Yeah, if they have long hair, if they're a prince and they have blonde hair, I immediately melt as soon as I see them, and I propose on the spot. And it's like, doesn't even have to be a good anime. I'll just watch for the character the whole time. As I said earlier, I'm also a cosplayer, of course. My pronouns are she, her, and even they, them, if you want. I'm not too picky about it. That's about it. That's me in a nutshell.
I mainly just stick to the, like, anime and manga side of things. I've tried dipping my toe into, like, podcasts and such. I'm still unsure about how I feel about actually listening to them.
That's valid.
I just really like my anime and manga, just watching and reading all of the stories.
Do you have, like, a preferred type or genre, perhaps? Or do you just like all of it?
Not quite all. I don't tend to like mecha series. Like, there is one anime that was mecha I watched, and story and character-wise I loved, but I just couldn't bring myself to ever finish it because I dreaded watching it every week because it was mecha, and I feel so bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very, like, niche thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of these episodes I'll try dipping my toe into the mecha scene and see how I like it.
Oh, maybe. But in general, I'll watch just about anything. I do prefer, like, romance
Heck
and
yeah.
horror.
A strange mix.
Yeah, I love lots of horror animes, but there's just not many good ones out there.
Interesting. Maybe we'll have to
Hmm.
delve into that in another episode.
Maybe near Halloween.
Oh, that'd be so fun. Like a spooky episode. Which is interesting because I very much don't like horror, and my tiny, anxious brain can barely handle it. But I think that'd be really fun to do a
Oh,
spooky
I love
episode.
it so much.
What are your pronouns? Just so the
Oh,
viewers can know.
basically any.
Heck yeah.
Anyone can call me anything, and I will, like, 9 times out of 10 respond.
But yeah, that was basically it. That was our first episode. I wanted to keep it really short and sweet, and just maybe introduce the both of us to people who haven't heard us talk or interact before, possibly. Especially since a lot of my viewers and my friends probably haven't even met you or, been able to hear you speak or anything. So I just thought this would be like a great introductory thing to the small amount of viewers we do have. I have a lot of episodes planned already, just a few ideas that I'd like to maybe do sometime in the future. A lot of ones that don't even involve anime. They involve maybe games or what else? Manga or webcomics or all that other things. I have so many ideas. I'm always full of ideas. So hopefully someday we'll be able to make more episodes, and I honestly had a lot of fun recording this.
Me too.
Heck yeah, and it's always good to just sit down and talk with my wife, Tay, which I feel like I haven't done in literally ages.
I know.
But yeah, if you stayed the whole time to listen, thanks so much for listening and supporting thus far. Shout out to all my friends who encouraged me to start this podcast, and shout out to you guys for listening. It was so sweet to have you guys along with us. Also, I don't think we ever explained our name for the podcast. So yeah, we're both named Tay, or at least we go by Tay. Well, my name is Taylor, but a lot of my friends and family call me Tay just as shorthand. But I like being called either one. However, when I first met Tay, I thought it was funny that we both shared the same nickname.
Yeah.
And a lot of our friends started calling us Tay Squared, and I just thought, you know what? Even though it doesn't have anything to do with anime or manga or anything, I'll just call the podcast Tay Squared. I mean, I feel like that just sums it all up.
It does.
It's just Tay and Tay, and we're talking about stuff we love, so Tay Squared. Thanks again for listening, and hope to see you next time. Bye!
Bye.